Aliens Fireteam Elite 2 launches on August 25th on PS5, Xbox, Steam, and the Epic Games Store. On LV558, your squads have grown to up to 4 players, so enemies and encounters have grown in scale. But don't worry, you and your squad can use the elements to stop xenomorphs and synths. Burn or freeze xenomorphs in their tracks. Electricity may not help, but electricity can help with other baddies instead. And it is even easier to get a team going because the game is cross-platform at launch. Not only can you expect an overhauled experience from the original game, but you and your team can engage with a story with heavy stakes. But that's not it, y'all, because you and your squad can partake in a new horde mode to take on waves and waves of xenomorphs, synths, and who knows what else. See ya on LV558.
Hey everybody, welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in this episode, which is brought to you by Video Game Town, but we'll get into that more later. We're going to be talking about PlayStation upsetting fans yet again in a potential mass shakeup to one of gaming's longest running series. It's going to be a good one because we have Chuck Zimmerheld on the show. Chuck, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I got my coffee, I got my glasses on, I got my giant bomb underscore sweatshirt. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to shill a sweatshirt and friends games of ours.
Yes,
Aliens.
Go do some commerce, everybody. Get in there, make it happen. Chuck, I'm glad you're here. And I had another busy weekend. Got to play some games here or there. But it really is happening. All the games are coming out right now to the point where we're already like, hey, if we don't get this game soon, we're just going to be screwed there. Or this one, oh my God, that one's going to be 50 hours itself. And then this one over here, I'm like, I really want to play that just to talk about it for Game of the Year. Probably not going to have time to do that. It's getting messy.
Last year, I just did not have the time to get up on the games for Game of the Year, like the end of the year podcast. And I felt like a lot of pressure for that. I'm doing better this time. Last year I was working on like 60, 80 hours a week trying to get the website done in time. But like this time I don't have all that pressure. I'm just working on fun features and I have time to actually play games. Y'all clear your calendars in September, October, November. You're going to have a lot of stuff to play if you want.
Yeah. And really the thing that keeps happening is like, I'm not expecting to want to play Mortal Shell 2. I have all these other games I was expecting to want to play. And then that comes out and that's like, oh man, keep watching Mike play. It looks so much fun.
It's got the sauce.
But I'm also really enjoying all the games I'm playing. So it's not like, I'm really bummed out. It's like, no, there's just that many great games right now for sure. All right, but we are starting a little bit late, so let's get into everything. Let's explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb, a bunch of internet video game doofuses, and we're looking for your support. Go to giantbomb.com/join. Become a premium member. If you do that, we are going to be able to do things our way. You'll be supporting independent games media. You're going to be getting things like our ad-free shows. You're going to get premium exclusive content, which we are very proud of and we love doing, and we want to do more of it, and we plan to do more of it. But really that whole wheel spins when you go to giantbomb.com/join and become a premium member. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with the mystery Xbox sequel was apparently Ori. But Ori's creator says the rumor is nonsense. So here we go. This is from Fraser Gilbert at Pure Xbox. Last week, you may remember that we covered a potential surprise Xbox published title that could show up at Gamescom 2026 in an announcement, although it also might not, according to the rumors. And there's now been a suggestion that the game is a third entry in the Ori series. One of the two people who mentioned the surprise was someone known as Nate the Hate. And they took to Reset Era over the weekend to state that a new Ori was what I was referring to. That's the quote from Nate there. But that they still didn't have confirmation on whether it would appear at Gamescom or not. A new Ori is what I was referring to. I do not have confirmation whether it will be or won't be at Gamescom yet.
Did I just break my mic? Hello,
yes, you did.
Okay.
I will talk briefly about this. Thomas Mahler, right? He's like one of the co-founders of Moon Studios, and I think in general is kind of like, I don't want to say asshat, but he says like very abrasive things. He's like one of those Twitter reply guys and stuff. And I'm like, Microsoft owns this IP. It wouldn't surprise me if they just didn't fucking tell him. But
yes,
I think I saw him post or something about reaching out to people at Microsoft and then throwing water on that rumor. Is that right?
So, I mean, kind of the way it goes here is you're right that first of all, it is worth pointing out that Thomas Mueller and Microsoft seem to have had a falling out due to, in part, Thomas Mueller's behavior, the conditions at that studio. I'm pretty sure that was a GamesBeat story. Dean Takahashi had that talking about a lot of people did not enjoy working there. And that is something that was really bubbling up around the time of Ori 2 getting released and coming out. And it was like one of the black marks on what was otherwise a very popular release and very well-received game. And like, you know, a highlight for Microsoft. But Microsoft maybe didn't want to go back and do that dance again. And they own the Ori IP. So to your point, they would not have to tell Thomas Mueller if they were doing something with it. Now, he does say that he did try. I think he said he reached out and maybe whoever he talked to maybe said that they didn't know anything about this. He says, I can confirm that the Ori 3 rumors are nonsense. That said, I had Gareth over for dinner a while ago since he was recording the No Rest for the Wicked soundtrack in Vienna. You folks will love it. And he asked me if we'd be ready to do another one. It's time, he said. So the idea there is like maybe they would buy the Ori IP back from Microsoft and do it themselves. There was definitely like, so when I was talking about this, like, you know, this sounds like a lot of those Killer Instinct rumors that people keep talking about. Ori was another one that people were bringing up as a possibility. And it's, you know, when you think about it, it's like, yeah, I guess that would fit with a lot of the pieces here. And I got to say, I'm still kind of with Nate on this one, where, yeah, this Thomas Mueller guy might not like it and might not know about it, but that really doesn't mean much here. What do you think?
I'm just curious. So we're thinking this got shelved, right? Because of Microsoft's new focus on their AAA IP, essentially. Is that right? Grubb? Oh, did we lose him? I was asking you if we think that this was possibly in the works and then it got shelved due to Microsoft's focus on AAA IP. Is that right?
I mean, maybe like, right. That's a good point of like, that is the sort of thing that has been happening at Xbox is there's been a purge of all kinds of other games. And maybe this is one of those that would have got caught up in that, except Ori is one of their franchises that is like, you know, unassailable. That's one that has reviewed really well. People really like it. It sells really well. It sells on all the platforms, including Xbox. It's not like it's one of those ones where finally got it on PlayStation. Now people are buying it. No, it sells really well on Xbox. And then when it goes to Switch and elsewhere, it sells very well on those platforms. So I think this is one where they would be curious to get another one done if possible. The question was always like, well, who would make it? And, you know, apparently, according to the reporting, it is Saber. Saber would be doing this one. And Saber's got a lot of studios and a lot of people. And they also are the kind of ones that like they do some work for hire. So they would come in and be able to like do that. They're, you know, they took over the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic thing when that thing fell apart and really was effectively canceled as a Sony project. The other team at Saber comes like, hey, we'll take it. We'll get it done and we'll do it ourselves. This could be a similar sort of thing. We're like, hey, we understand this. We'll get it done. But, you know, funny timing after coming off that, all that fallout with the CEO there. But to, you know, Stella Sacco, who was the target of that vitriol from the CEO a couple weeks ago, so herself said that like there's a lot of really talented studios out there that aren't like AI pilled the way some of the executives are. And they would be able to do something like this, I think. But it's interesting how that's kind of become Saber's job of like just stepping in and taking over the role of some studios that can't handle it themselves or whatever.
Are they doing a lot of 2D HD over at Saber? Like I'm trying to think. I feel like they do a lot of first person. Like they're doing Hellraiser, right? Turok, is that the other game?
Yeah, they have all kinds of different games, right? Because they also have like all those vehicle-based games and stuff like that. Okay, yes, and Jamie H here saying that now Nick, who's another leaker, has heard it's in Mercury Steam, which is the studio that did Metroid Dread, excuse me, which is excellent. That would, and that's these are two of the best Metroidvanias from the last several years. That would be very cool to see. I mean, it does feel like there's so much smoke here that hopefully when we get to Gamescom opening night live tomorrow, we just get the answer about this. But there's also no guarantee that happens. This could easily come and go, and we don't actually get like, hey, remember that mystery Xbox game? What was that? Was that even in there? And the answer was no, because these rumors are just lining up with this opening night live moment. And that was more a coincidence.
I'm ready to leak it, Grubb. I know what it was. I don't know why I was like trying to avoid telling you. It was Scalebound. It was Scalebound was back, and now it's not back. So that's
damn it.
I know.
I hold a torch for Scalebound.
That cool kid with the headphones and his cool dragon, and there's a lot of meat on that bone. I tell you,
there's still people that definitely think about Scalebound every day and believe it'll come back. I'm like, listen, it'd be cool to have that game, sure, but why were people so into this idea? All right, yeah, I'm hoping that we do get some answer tomorrow because I like Ori a lot, and if it's if that happens, I would like to kind of see what that looks like, and I like the idea of an Ori without Thomas Mahler, who really is just kind of a big douche. He just is.
It's like, dude, don't. The self-owns on social media. Just don't post. Just don't.
Just don't do it. All right. Sony sends PlayStation users a reminder that they don't own their digital games just as a fan boycott over ending discs kicks off. This is from Vicky Blake at Eurogamer. PlayStation users have received an unprompted reminder of exactly what they do and don't own on the platform. Days before a planned boycott over Sony's decision to end new PlayStation discs from 2028. You recently accepted the following PlayStation terms, and then they basically kind of gave like a for your records email that includes the details of what the end user license agreement says. For your convenience and future reference, we have included full copies of the terms in this email. The software is a license to you, not sold, it reads. And this is the big thing here that everyone is sort of focusing in on. You are granted a limited, non-exclusive, non-transferable, and personal license to play or use the software for your private, non-commercial use on the system or device it was intended for. The terms go on to restrict things like renting, modifying, or obtaining games through unauthorized means. Now, of course, this is the end-user license agreement for every digital platform. The PlayStation is not unique here in any way. It is just a sort of salt in the wound moment where people were this week planning I think it's like some PlayStation blackout is what they're calling it. It is a fan-driven sort of get offline, don't use the platform mini boycott for PlayStation Network that runs through this week. That's happening right now.
Oh, wow.
And like days before that was supposed to happen, there's this email just kind of shouting at people, reminder, you don't own the games you bought. They even like go into a long thing where like anytime we do use the word sold, don't take that to mean that we sold anything to you. We just are licensing it to you. That's it. This is the exact kind of thing where people are like, hey, okay, but can we still get the option to purchase a copy with which then we can then lend to someone or resell it because it is a copy that we can do what we want with? And nope, PlayStation's getting rid of that in January 2028 when they end disc production for PlayStation platforms across the board.
It's absolutely just crazy. like it's like you're giving people bad news and then just like rubbing their faces in it. It's this all digital future sucks, man. And I just see the stuff like this and I'm like, oh cool, you are giving the next generation of pirates all the motivation they need for the next 10, 20 years. I think you're making a huge mistake on that front. If you want to guarantee that every single game that you release for however long is going to, day one appear on those sites, it's going to. And I don't know. We need something like a FCC with teeth to actually do consumer protections here. And I know, like, I think, what was it? Don't stop killing games or whatever in Europe. I feel like they kind of took an L recently. Is that right? But I don't know. I hope consumers just
actually
get
had
louder.
it was in California even.
It's California?
Yeah, where it's like they kind of got into in front of some people, and then the motion was like dismissed. I can't remember the exact details, but yes, there was a small L.
Yeah, I think consumers are going to get louder about that, and California, Europe, GDC or not GDC. What is the GCR? What is that? That's the data protection thing. But yeah,
GDPR.
GDPR. I don't know. But like the bodies that kind of roll that stuff out, I think people are going to get louder, and hopefully those entities step in and do something. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I watched a documentary about Theodore Roosevelt recently. It's like, oh my God, there were like, he's got a lot of problems, obviously, but there was a time when he became a rock star politician by just being like, hey, I work for the people and really going hard for worker protections and stuff like that. And it's this is something that we get like once 100 years, where someone in America might have the balls to do something about this. We are always kind of relying on regulators around the world to step in. But yeah, like what would we regulate here? I just think that pump the brakes on changing the entire way a market works, and especially if everything that change would do is take away choices for consumers and shore up the profit margins for corporations. Can we force these companies to have to keep producing discs? I don't know, maybe, or at least provide more options. Or if they are going to get rid of discs, here's what has to happen in the digital space, including obvious, easy refund policies, one-click cancellations for subscriptions, all these things that are supposed to happen here or there, but don't. And then, it's not like we have a really good refund policy on PlayStation as it is, let alone getting down the path to where it's like, okay, now I've bought all these games. Can I pass these games on to my children? Like, can they take over those licensing keys? Probably not. Can I resell them? Definitely not. These are things where it's like, okay, if you're going to get rid of discs, let's repair the marketplace to work the way it did when we did have choice. But we are, of course, they're stripping those things away and kind of sneaking them past us. And now here we are in a situation where it's like, oh yeah, they are forcing through this movement to get rid of discs in this moment because they have built up an ecosystem for digital that just protects all of their interest and none of ours. Now there's this blackout movement. You always wonder, like, what is that going to end up looking like? There's a lot of games coming out right now, a lot of stuff people are interested in. They didn't do this after Grand Theft Auto 6 came out. Very smart. Will PlayStation take notice of something like that? I think we always come away from these conversations, Chuck, thinking, probably not. They know what they did. They know what the backlash is going to be. And they told investors at a recent, over a financial call, yeah, we hear them, but this is the plan and we're sticking to it. No reason to think that this is going to derail them, right?
Yeah. And they also have no reason to report on if they're affected by boycotts like that.
Yeah.
We have no idea what the impact of BDS has been on Xbox, for example. We have no idea. I'm sure that has way bigger of an impact than they would like to admit, and they definitely won't admit it, right? And in the same way, like PlayStation's not going to talk about the impacts and effects of, this blackout week. And then that, because we don't know the end result of it, then that kind of removes some of the motivation as well from the audience. And they just kind of have to this word sucks. It's like they have to have faith that their actions are actually having an impact on the platform.
Yep.
It's dire, man.
Yep, exactly. And it's all part of like a big organism of backlash. I think every time I'm putting the stories together for Game Mess Mornings, it's like, and I'm doing the little headline here of like, oh, what are we talking about on the show? You could do PlayStation backlash on almost every episode. Eventually that does build up, and it has to take many forms. Like this week, it's a blackout. Other weeks, it could be something else, or it could just be gamers getting mad at PlayStation doing something. And then that brings out the boo birds saying, hey, no disc, no buy all over again. And if that's what happens every single time PlayStation does anything good or bad, it adds up over time. And then people pair it together with these movements and these events. Even if we think of like on a small scale or in the moment, it might not make much of a difference. Or Like, it's not going to be an instantaneous thing where next week PlayStation goes, oh, okay, we were wrong. You're right. It still adds up. So yeah, people should keep trying whatever methods they can to get Sony's attention on this. Because if you take it seriously, you kind of have no other option. If this is a hobby you really want to keep consuming the way you have been your whole life, it's going away right now, and this is the moment to say something.
Right.
All right. Let's take the break. We're going to take a break, come back and get to the rest of the headlines after this. When we do come back, we're going to be talking about 60 frames per second because we're still a video game podcast, everybody. Plenty of other headlines to get into as well. If you want to skip out on these ad messages, you can do so. Giantbomb.com/join has the ad-free version of the audio and video show there. We will be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Video Game Town. Video Game Town is an independent media site where you can find fascinating articles, podcasts, and videos created by the best and brightest in video game journalism. In order to escape the industry is currently in, Video Game Town proudly presents the best in gaming coverage, joined by plenty of familiar faces: Khalif Adams, Jenna Stieber, Merritt K, Ian Walker, and more.
Video Game Town is run by two friends, Grant and Jared, who bring their decades of experience covering games, movies, tech, and memes. They deliver the kind of analysis, editorials, podcasts, videos, rankings, and nerdy ephemera that you can't find elsewhere. So check them out at videogame.town and be sure to subscribe to their Video Game Town Hall series wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to support the return of fully independent web media, you can directly support at patreon.com/videogametown for exclusive articles and podcasts.
Video Game Town.
Video Game Town. Video Game Town. Video Game Town. Video Game Town. Video Game Town. Video Game Town. Video Game Town. All right, it's Game Mess Mornings. We are back. That's Chuck Zimmerheld. I'm Jeff Grubb. Let's get back into the news headlines. With Blood of the Dawnwalker, console footage confirms no 60 frames per second mode at launch, and now that's been updated. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. Rebel Wolves and Bandai Namco have shared console gameplay of their upcoming action RPG, The Blood of the Dawnwalkers. Or excuse me, The Blood of Dawnwalker. Is it just Dawnwalker? It's
Dawnwalker. There's just the one Dawnwalker, actually.
Got it.
Yeah.
Which they say will run up to 40 frames per second. Dawnwalker will offer two graphics modes on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Quality mode will target 30 frames per second at dynamic 4K resolution, while balanced mode will target 40 frames per second at dynamic 4K resolution. PlayStation 5 Pro will target the same frame rates and dynamic 4K resolution, according to a new video, but with enhanced visual quality across both modes. And then there was backlash to this. People are like, well, where's my 60 frames per second? I want that on console. Give me a performance mode. Turn all this stuff down and give me 60 frames per second. Rebel Wolves has now confirmed that a 60 frames per second mode after that backlash will be added to the game after all. They said they were working on it, that it was in the works. They just weren't sure if it was going to be ready, but they were kind of convinced by the backlash to prioritize it, and now here it is. I'll say 40 frames per second on a TV that might have, the G-Sync, that sort of, or the whatever it's called from FreeSync from AMD.
FreeSync, yeah.
Yes, that's fine. Usually for me, I'm at a point where it's like, as long as it's 40, 45 frames per second, I'm not noticing much of a difference anymore. But obviously 60 frames per second is the baseline that a lot of people really want to hit, or at least have the option to get to. And it's nice that they kind of came out and were like, hey, no, we're ready to go with this. And they responded to it very quickly.
Yeah. Weird. A company listening to their audience and responding in kind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is good news. And I don't know, like we should be like definitely applauding them on the choice. I think it's going to be like a day one patch that adds this mode is what I was reading. Man, this is like a sort of a peek behind the curtain, and you guys will understand this, like Grubb and Jan, but just the beta testing that reviewers do sometimes on games where they don't get this option and they aren't able to review it. So it's cool that they're doing this for sure. Definitely wish it was available in the review period, because it's sort of like a black box mystery for like when those reviews come out if it's not available for them. But yeah, love this. I agree. Like 20 to 30 is what annoys me. It's when it dips from 30 to 20 is when it really irritates me. 30 lock I can get used to. 45, I don't know why like we leave this gulf between 30 and 60. I think it has to do with monitor technology, because you go down from like 120 to 60 to 30. I don't know if it's just like because programmers like doubling things. I can't.
I mean,
confirm we do.
obviously it's because the frames fit, like 30 fits into 60, right? So, and it's divisible by that. 45 is not, but a lot of monitors now are 120 frames per second or whatever, or much higher than that. And at that point, even if the number doesn't perfectly fit into the hertz of the monitor, it's so fast that you don't actually get as much tearing. Or again, there is variable refresh rate, G-Sync or whatever that fixes a lot of these things. So yeah, 45 on Steam Deck, I will do 45 frames per second, sort of no matter what, unless I'm playing an emulated game, because it saves battery, and I don't notice much of a difference. And that 45 is divisible, right into 90, so you could just do frame doubling, and it's perfect. So 45 frames per second is something I would want to see so much more of.
Yeah, I wish I was like more up on monitor technology and everything. I know like the old standard was like 59 or 60 hertz refresh rate on monitors, which is why 60 was such a thing that we always like banged the drum for. But I think, that number is fairly irrelevant outside of my eyes like it. But yeah, I don't know. I should try more 45 frames a second stuff on Steam Deck, especially. I play Steam Deck still more than it's my PC and then my Steam Deck and then my Switch is kind of like the order in which I'm playing things. So yeah, I need to experiment more with that.
Like I'm always trying to remember, like 60 frames per second and 30 frames per second became normal for us because our electricity, I think, was like 120 hertz itself. Like it sends a pulse over 120 seconds, so it was just the easiest. And they did it. They have 100 hertz electricity essentially in a lot of other parts of the world, which is why they got 50 frames per second for PAL regions. It's such a weird thing to think that stuff was dictated by current technology.
I'm always still very jealous of European outlets because they get like more voltage through their normal outlets and everything. So their tea kettles can go faster.
Yes, their
than
electric
ours.
kettles are twice as fast as
I have
ours.
to sit upstairs.
Also watch Technology Connections. Yes.
Oh, I didn't get it from that. I just knew that, Grubb. So
okay, never mind. I'm sorry. Oh, you're one of those book readers?
Well, it's because I'm such a coffee freak and I love a pour over. So I put the kettle on and everything for that. And it takes a long ass time. And I'm like, oh my God, but what if I could just, get like a zippy one? And I don't want to do gas because of all the energy waste. Now that I learned from Technology Connections. Okay.
Yes.
I'll give you that. Great channel you should follow.
Yeah, everyone should go watch that video about electric kettles because it's the best shit on YouTube. What do we do about that? All right, let's see here. I did have a little bit more on this. So the final lineup here, 60, 40, 30. Those are your frame rate options for PS5, PS5 Pro, and Xbox Series X. 30 frames per second is your only option on Xbox Series S. They did say they are targeting 60 frames per second, so I wouldn't recommend anyone take that to mean it's going to be locked at 60 frames per second. I think we can assume that based on how this is rolled out. But you don't have to go around saying there's no 60 frames per second option on console for this. Man, this is why I play on PC. I just try not to think about these things. It's you could just brute force your way to 60 frames per second one way or the other on the personal computer. All right, Nintendo over the weekend or late last week wiped out hundreds of Switch emulator repositories. This is from Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life. In Nintendo's ongoing battle against emulation, it has apparently wiped out more than 400 Switch emulator repositories in a single-day GitHub sweep, as reported by Torrent Freak. Nintendo filed 7 DMCA anti-circumvention notices in one coordinated campaign earlier this week. It targets forks of copies of the Suyu emulator, I get it, and Skyline. The repositories now display a takedown notice detailing how the accused projects are designed to circumvent technological protection measures. The reported repositories offers link to or otherwise provide access to Nintendo Switch emulators. Nintendo Switch emulators are primarily designed to play Nintendo Switch games. Specifically, these Nintendo Switch emulators they illegally circumvent Nintendo's TPMs in order to run illegal copies of Nintendo Switch games. Nintendo Switch games are encrypted using proprietary cryptographic keys, prod.keys, which protect against unauthorized access to and copying of the copyrighted games. These are like the key points that this is like Nintendo's legal theory here, where it's circumventing our protection, which is a DMCA violation, and then it's a copyright violation of our cryptographic keys. It's an exact copy of this, and that stuff we have a we have a copyright of, and if you reproduce that, that is an illegal copy, and we can go after them. Now, this has not been tested, but that is the kind of stuff where everyone generally, for the most part, is like, yeah, that sounds probably right. So a lot of these Switch emulators will have you provide your own prod keys and stuff like that. But Nintendo is kind of not accepting that in these situations. And this is obviously like, hey, the Switch 1, sure, that's the old console now. Maybe they wouldn't care about that as much anymore. That's not the way it's going to work with the Switch 2 being a Switch 1, just with more power, effectively. The Switch 1 is selling a lot of games still. It's still a very successful platform because the Switch 2 can play them. And that is something Nintendo really wants to protect long term, because it's going to be hard to get growth elsewhere because the system's going to be so expensive. So they have to keep selling games to people who already own these systems and to people who are buying Switch 2 games or Switch 2s maybe for the first time. There's a whole backlog of Switch 1 games they're going to want to sell to these people. And it's worth reminding, like, the prices on those things have not gone down. They are like, it's still $60 for a lot of Switch 1 games. And that's unprecedented in a lot of ways. And I think Nintendo is like, hey, we have got to do everything we can to make sure we are getting every dollar of that for ourselves. And the result here is just a swath of DMCA takedowns.
I'm really curious. That this line that says, during operation, the emulators at the reported repositories necessarily use unauthorized copies of these cryptographic keys to decrypt unauthorized copies of Nintendo Switch games, which to me doesn't necessarily read that they are including the keys in the GitHub repositories.
I mean, I can say maybe I've heard from people that it's one of the ways that this worked previously is you had to go get your own Switch,
right,
and get a prod key from that yourself. Now, I mean, I wouldn't know anything about that, but that is the kind of thing where I was definitely, this seems like a fair use of the thing I own, right?
Yeah. I think the problem with Yuzu and Ryujinx, and they both had legal act. Those were the two big ones. They both had illegal action taken against them. It was because I think it was Ryujinx that started asking for money in exchange for like more features, or like they were trying to do like a Patreon style thing. So that got them bopped pretty quick. But for stuff like Yuzu, where someone's doing a fork of Yuzu and it's in GitHub and they're not directly offering a file, that would kind of baffle me if GitHub was like putting up with that. But I was thinking this while you're talking. It's important to remember, you at home, GitHub, which has most of the world's code in it, is owned by Microsoft. And Microsoft is going to comply with DMCA takedowns every time.
Of course.
And the other place people share a lot of this stuff, Discord. And you can bet, I promise you, whenever a Discord goes public or gets sold to some other interest, they're going to comply with these takedowns. And channels that spread this stuff around are going to get in trouble. It's not good when you see reverse engineered software that doesn't actually have, like fucking industry secrets or like keys being distributed. When you see those get taken down, that's a canary in a coal mine kind of thing. It's not good.
Yep. And the importance of emulators and the right for emulators to exist, that's something that's like an old argument at this point. We all kind of recognize that the side that was pro emulation has won that argument on at least moral grounds. It's not, and for the most part, that stuff also hasn't been tested in court, but no one really wants to test it all that much in court. And when it has been tested, it's these older cases of like the clean room, the IBM compatible PCs and stuff like that. That stuff still seems like it should mostly shake out in favor of, hey, these programs are legal and they provide people a way to access this stuff that does not violate copyright. But Nintendo's lawyers are just going to come at these things no matter what, especially for anything related to Switch still. They aren't as aggressive on N64 emulators, right? They care less about that. This is about protecting their commercial interest in the moment. That said, a lot of the development for emulators happens in the moment. It does happen because people are curious about piracy, absolutely. But in the long term, that protects the preservation of these games. Now, that's all that said. It's Nintendo, and the sort of interest in emulating Nintendo stuff will never go away. So there will always be crews finding ways to take this stuff on, whether they have to do that underground and in the shadows or on GitHub. They'll find a way to make this happen because the interest is just too strong.
To me, the the real reason, if you're Nintendo, the reason you go after GitHub specifically is because GitHub results will always, or GitHub will always show up in search engine results.
Yep.
Like you search Nintendo Switch, Git, it's going to like just list a bunch of those. I think that's number one, like why they take those down, because search engine, like normie people trying to figure out how to do this, they're going to search. GitHubs are always like have a nice README that tells you exactly how to do stuff. It's like the lowest lift for them to take down a bunch of vectors of this. But yeah, they're not going to be able to get rid of the code. The stuff's going to find different ways to proliferate and live and be hosted somewhere. And stop asking me to host it on giantbomb.com. I'm not going to do it. But yeah, I think that's 100% why they go after GitHub.
Yeah, absolutely. They're trying to disperse the easy information that is available when people search. They're also trying to just do a little bit of whack-a-mole on these teams to slow down progress, right? That the people doing all the work to get a Switch 1 emulator working, those are the people most likely to then parlay that into Switch 2 emulators. And they want to sort of just remind people, hey, we're in charge, daddy's home, we carry a big stick. And that's one of the goals here is just to slow down the progress of that.
Yep.
Speaking of Switch 2, though, people have played Call of Duty on Switch 2. That is a thing that has happened in this world now. Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life reports on a bunch of previews for early access to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 on Switch 2. That wasn't part of the open beta. The open beta will include Switch 2 next weekend, I think, but some people got early access, and there was even like an event, I believe, where people went hands-on. And the general sentiment here is, what Switch Force from YouTube has, there's a quote here from this story, kind of puts it very succinctly. It runs really great. I think that's a resounding achievement. I led with that. I believe that it is probably the story here, but I think there's another story. It's that Call of Duty 4 runs great on Switch 2. Call of Duty 4 also looks pretty crappy on Switch 2, and it was impacting my experience. Spawn Wave had has a little blurb here. So it was a little jarring going to the Switch 2, mostly because when it first pops up, you see the visuals, and it's pretty obvious in this case. Again, they said it's a beta build, and it's a little older, not necessarily representative of the final product, and he said that was noticeable. I guess I wasn't expecting it to look really bad, but people are saying it looks bad enough that it's affecting their experience. But 60 frames per second has always been one of the most important things with Call of Duty. So them prioritizing that seemed like the right choice. But there's been so many miracle ports to the Switch 2 of like, oh man, this game runs way better than you would expect and looks all right. I think that was my expectation for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. But also these games aren't coming on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 anymore, right? So it doesn't have the benefit of like, well, at least it runs on that Xbox One VCR. So of course it's going to be great on Switch too. No, this is a next-gen game. Next-gen, at this point, current gen. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm looking at a video, like an early look at Modern Warfare 4 on Nintendo Switch 2, and this is docked. So the frame rate looks good. A lot of the issues look like textures. And that seems like engine weirdness when you're porting that. So that makes sense to me.
Could easily be that.
Seems like, yeah, seems like stuff that would get cleaned up. I don't know. I'm not worried about it. I think that stuff fixes itself, gets itself sorted. Yeah, it does look like a lot of, I want to say like texture streaming to the console. I think that's a thing I've heard of before, Grubb. And that's what it looks like is going on there.
Yes, yeah. And that's always right. That's the kind of thing where that probably can be optimized for sure. Switch 2 storage is not like SSD fast, but it's not hard drive slow. It's somewhere in between. So they should be able to like make sense of some of that. I mean, it's definitely way better than what they were dealing with on the PS4 and Xbox One. Like Jamie H here is like, yeah, maybe it's like the PUBG situation where people prefer to play on Switch 2 because there's less foliage, so it's like easier to see people or something like that. I don't know if it doesn't look quite like that. I think Chuck's right that it's
Pope.
Yes, it's definitely much more along the lines of texture streaming, where there's some weirdness and it's noticeable where that stuff's just not loading in fast enough or is a much lower quality. Yeah, at the very least, I mean, this feels like a game where if they do get it right, this isn't just something they're going to fire off and forget because, again, going like Madden has done very well on Switch 2 the last couple of years, but especially this year. So that the ball and gun gamers might actually be on Switch 2 now in some way, to some extent. And I guess that makes sense because Fortnite's been on there for a long time and it's done very well on Switch. But Call of Duty always felt like a slightly different thing. This game could do very well on Switch 2 if it's able to like hit its marks.
Yeah, is there a timeline on this? Like when Activision thinks they're gonna drop this on the platform?
I mean, I think this is out the same day as all the other. Yeah, let's see. It's the Switch 2 open beta. That's the open beta takes place on August 28th. But I think this launches the same day as everything else. I'll double check that. But yeah,
I just did. I screwed out of frame because I went to go look at my Switch Pro controller and I was like, do I want to play a shooter on that? I was like, I don't think so. I mean, it's not bad, but it's no Xbox controller for a shooter,
Yeah, I guess I haven't thought about the Switch 2 controller as a shooter controller. I don't see much of an issue with it. It's a comfortable controller, but I don't think about it shooters when I look at it. That's fair. I'll try it. I'm going to try the beta. I'll try the beta on Switch 2. I want to see what this looks like for myself.
Isn't it funny? It's like we're talking about a 2007 video game, getting it running on a Switch 2. There's difficulties. I think that's very funny because any other game we'd be talking, or like platform we'd be talking about an emulation layer. Like, Xbox is just, this is their bread and butter, is like emulate. Steam too, emulation layers to make stuff work on different hardware. It's just I think this is more of like an actual port, like a proper port, if I had to guess. Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. I love the tech, and I wish I could like talk to people about the tech behind this stuff because I think it's fascinating.
Yep. We'll everyone get a chance to see it next week because again that's it's going to be open, so it's not like a closed beta. You don't have to get an invite. You'll just be able to hop in and go to the eShop and download it for yourselves. So yeah, we'll see at that point. People also said the mouse mode actually works pretty well. So you don't have to use your controller. You could just get your Joy-Con off the thing and use that as a mouse and go to town that way. I wonder if does that flip you? It should flip you over to like using mouse because they put the players into buckets, whether you're using a controller or using a mouse, so they can matchmake in a somewhat fair way. I would assume that they would be able to recognize that and put you into the mouse mode at that point. All right, this next one is interesting. Game Freak suggests Pokémon Champions was built partly so it could change battles in future games. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. Game Freak has suggested that it could make further big changes to the Pokemon battle system in the future after Champions was designed partly to preserve the series' original battle system. In a newly published video, Shigeki Morimoto, Pokemon's longtime battle director, and Kazumasa Awayo, the game director of Pokemon Champions, reflected on the game following its launch on mobile and Nintendo Switch earlier this year. In the video, Awayo revealed that one of the reasons for developing the game was to retain the series' original battle system as the main series moves away from it. Awayo wanted players who have been enjoying the existing style of Pokemon battles for decades to have a game that would retain the turn-based combat as games like Pokemon Legends Arceus and Pokemon Legends ZA move away from it. Awayo said that telling fans to just play the new version and that everything had changed didn't feel right to the team at Game Freak, so they wanted to give fans a way to enjoy the classic style of Pokemon. It's currently unknown which style of battling will be featured in Pokemon Winds and Waves, which will be released next year on Nintendo Switch 2. Pokemon Champions, which was released in April on console and June on mobile, allows players to bring their Pokemon from the main series into the game in order to battle other players or change their Pokemon stats. They're not explicitly saying that it's going to change for something like Wind and Waves, but it does say that essentially it gives them the freedom to do that if they so choose to, because now when people say we like the old battle system, they will just say go play Champions, right?
Right. And I wonder if like this is sort of Game Freak sorting out their audience, because you have in your audience the competitive Pokemon players that want to assemble a team, and Pokemon Champions is a good product for that, right? And the ZA or the Legends games are so different in that they play more like the real timeness of it. Where it's like they're issuing the turn-based bit.
Yes, kind of like an MMO in some ways. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you play the Pokemon games, and do you have like a preference between these two?
I mean, I definitely would say I want them to just stay turn-based, but I want the battles to evolve in some way. So I don't want it to be the exact same system with just very slight changes that it's been for so long. But I don't want it to go all real time either. I want it to still be mostly turn based, but like try some real big swings on that side of the fence. So yeah, I guess I'm somewhere in between, but I think that's still like effectively is the same thing here, where there's going to be a lot of purists who have been playing one way for a very long time. Champions can still provide that for them. And if they want to try to make it real time, or if they want to try some really different take on turn based, they will have the opportunity to do that. And I was going to start off being like, oh no, they shouldn't change that. But then I'm like, no, I want them to make changes. I want to see what this can look like. So I think this is smart for the most part. What do you think?
Yeah, they're clearly trying to sort out their audience. Like, how can we appeal to like the widest swath of people with like
that's always rough,
they're testing that with the Legends games, but those don't sell as well as the mainline ones. So it's like
they still sell very well though. But you're right, they don't. Yes.
So like, why mess with the recipe if you are the biggest media franchise in the world, right? And your game sells gangbusters when you put out shit quality games, right? Like that's
yeah.
I don't know. This isn't what I want them to work on for like the next game, for the next mainline game. I want turn-based. And also, I think when it's turn-based, there's a cozy element to it. It's funny. It's like it's serving hardcore strategy, but it's also serving the cozy element where I don't need to respond to what's happening in game like right away. I can like kind of do it while I'm doing something else, or it's something good to play in a car, or it's weird. I want them to stick with turn-based in the mainline. I like what they were doing. Like Legends has like spins on the combat system. Mainline is keeping the turn-based, and then Champions serving their hardcore strategic competitive audience. I think it makes a lot of sense. I just freeze. Game Freak freeze. Leave it alone.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like if I were to like go into Game Freak as a consultant, which I would never do, but if I did that, and they're like, okay, hey, give us the list of stuff we should work on first. Changing the battle system to appeal to more people would be very far down on the list. It would be like, man, let's get these games like technologically running in a way that is acceptable in the year of our Lord 2026 and beyond. These are the things that need to be fixed first and foremost. Let's get some production values going. Let's get some voice acting. Let's spend some money that we make. We make a lot of money. Let's spend some of that. And then at that point, if that does not solve any sort of issues you might have in terms of finding or getting people excited about these games, maybe we could change the combat. But changing the combat system to appeal to a wider audience, when has that ever worked? I can only think of examples where that has usually backfired.
Mass Effect.
Did they do okay? You know, how much did they change that combat? I guess they did. To me, that was like an upgraded. It was like upgraded in all ways, but I suppose it was kind of changed.
Yeah, sorry, I pulled a good example out of the air there from my favorite game. No, but I think you're right though. For the most part, like if you have a hit, leave the hit alone. Don't fuck with it.
I mean, because I just think of like the kind of example I'm thinking of, like Final Fantasy. It's always like they changed it completely from turn-based to real-time or whatever, and people were like, and meanwhile, anything that was going to be like, hey, we're going to be more like Final Fantasy than ever is doing much better. So it just always seems like it blows up in people's faces. And obviously there's examples where there's like vast changes, but then Mass Effect 3, people weren't as happy about that, and I thought the combat was great in that one. But
there was no complaints about the combat of Mass Effect 3, I don't think. And even that they had a multiplayer mode that people really liked, actually.
Yes, that people wouldn't stop playing that, yeah.
Weirdly, it's like people focused on the story elements of an RPG that they didn't care for. That was that was what they threw a fit over with that game. But
yeah.
I was going to make a joke about Cyber League demandments. Like, what are our demandments to Game Freak about what to do with the franchise? And I would say voice acting and fidelity and cutting back on all the churn at the beginning of the game and like the intro and like the clicking through conversation prompts. It's like, man, I feel like there's like low hanging fruit. Like this isn't, you'll have to spend money on it, but it's like, that's not hard, you know? Yeah. But I'm also saying that from my chair in Washington, D.C. So what do I know?
Right, exactly. All right, last story here. It's kind of two stories, but we'll combine them together. Nvidia is reportedly warning major customers of 15% plus AI server price hikes. So this is not confirmed, but a lot of people are, a lot of like customers are leaking that Nvidia's warning them that the cost of the hardware, mostly because of memory, for AI data centers, AI servers, is going to start going up by 15%. We're worthwhile bringing up here because it's all the same supply chain still effectively, or at least relatedly, to the hardware supply chain that provides the components that go into consoles and into PCs. So price pressures continue to rise. Worth pointing out that, like, hey, this has already happened a lot. Tom's Hardware found the RTX 5070 up roughly 36%. The 5060 Ti is up 39%. The 5090, which launched at $2,000, now regularly goes for $4,000. So yes, it's wild out there. And then on the other side of things, Samsung is also raising prices for its chips. It's actually it's systems on a chip for all of the lithography processes that it has. So basically, it has there's like 4 nanometer, 5 nanometer, and 8 nanometer. These are just like how big the traces are on the boards that they create, and the smaller the better. Creates less heat and can produce the same amount of power with while you're using less energy. So it's good. It's good to have like lower nanometers. But every single one of these processes is going up in cost. So they produce like a wafer of chips, and when customers go to them now, apparently for the 4 nanometer process, that's going to be going up to 10 to 15%. For U.S. and Chinese customers, and 5 to 10% for Taiwanese customers. The 5 nanometer process is going to go up 10 to 15% as well. And then the 8 nanometer process, which is much older, is going to go up roughly 10%. So this immediately is probably going to affect Qualcomm, according to the Reuters story that I got this from, because they are actively making new deals all the time. They're much more of a just-in-time sort of producer. And they are the kinds of chips that end up in Chinese handhelds, for example. A lot of phones as well, obviously.
Right.
But Chinese handhelds are a lot of those are powered by Qualcomm chips. Not all, but a lot of them are. But that 8 nanometer process, Chuck, that is very likely the same one that powers the Switch 2. So people are beginning to say, oh, does this mean the Switch 2's got another reason to go up 10 to 15%? And it's not that simple, obviously, because Nintendo and Samsung would have a long-term deal. Like they'd be like, hey, we've already agreed to a price, like, far ahead of time. So that does not necessarily mean that Nintendo's going to have to pay these prices now, but they do re-up contracts. And maybe when that comes, the price increase comes along with it. That seems very possible. At the very least, all this says that every reason that the prices have gone up over the last year or so, all of those reasons are still here, and in some ways they're getting worse. So we can expect prices to keep going up, just like we always say on this show, Chuck.
Yeah. I was thinking about Apple and Apple Silicon, and how they owned like a lot of their supply chain, but like they want to own more and more of it and be responsible for more and more of it, because like the way to escape this is just have complete independence from market forces that affect companies like Qualcomm. I wonder like how much that's insulated them, or like how much price pressure they're ones I don't hear about with this stuff is Apple. I haven't seen a lot of.
They got in early and locked in their prices pretty early because they are supply chain experts, and they knew what we kind of all were like, maybe is this going to go away anytime? They knew it wasn't. But even Apple can't produce actually print their own chips. They're not going to be able to press their own wafers. They have to go to TSMC just like everyone else. And that's like one of the fundamental things here. Samsung's prices are going up because TSMC is booked out for years and years and years. Like there's just there's no more capacity at the Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturing company, TSMC. They have all their customers, and that number one customer is definitely Apple. Apple's I'm pretty sure going to be their number one customer, and then Nvidia and stuff like that. So Samsung can take on that extra capacity, and they're like, well, now there's more pressure for ours, so our prices are going to keep going up. And it's this spillover that happens across the markets and across these different segments. And when we look around, it's like, oh yeah, when is this going to slow down? This is a reminder. It's like, no, we're still in the cascading phase of one thing goes up so much in price and gets tapped out that the next thing down goes up. And when you see at the same time, the 4 nanometer, 5 nanometer, and 8 nanometer processes are all going up in price, So yeah, that's the kind of thing where like, okay, it's not just affecting the stuff that is ending up in AI data centers. It's everything across the board. All right.
It's
Yeah,
hard
go
not
ahead.
to think about the CHIPS Act in the U.S. and it's like, God damn it, was that? That was kind of far looking a little bit, attempting to pull manufacturing into the United States, like build expertise in creating chips and everything, and subsidizing the development of those programs and everything. It felt very quaint and like, why are you doing this at the time? But like now, it's like, oh, right, because we have zero independence on something that plays like a major factor into all the products we use.
I mean,
every day.
More than that, it plays a major factor in weapons. We just had the story today that like there's a drone found in Ukraine, a Russian drone that was entirely piloted, controlled, targeting, all AI. All of it was with an Nvidia chip inside of it. And yes, these are weapon systems. That's why the Chip Act happened, because they knew that this is a national security concern. We have to be able to make these chips. And it's that's only going to get worse. It's absolutely only going to get worse. So will they actually be able to respond and like to beef up the Chip Act? I don't know. They haven't been able to do it so far, but yeah, we'll see. Okay, that does it for the headlines. Let's go ahead and start wrapping up the show. No poll question from Friday because we did the Bomb 12, but I believe I updated the Bomb 12. Let me just save it, make sure it's there. There we go. But the Bomb 12 is updated on giantbomb.com. If you scroll down, you'll see the most recent results, and on the left-hand side, you'll see the Vote Here button. Click that. Takes you to the Google form. Submit your game for consideration for this week's Bomb 12, and we'll do that on Friday. We do have, yeah.
Do you want me to read some of the big? I have the Big 12 scrolling by on this board back here.
Oh yeah, please! I love this. I love
Fields
this thing.
of Mystery. Yeah, it's really slow. I have the wiki on the second row, and then
What's
on the
number
bottom
3?
row. Number 3 is Fuck's Quest 2. Shouts out to Phil Salvador of the Video Game History Foundation. This is very important news that we missed somehow. Phil and co over at the VGHF have procured a copy of a Gex 3 guide with yo-yo tricks in it. So
okay,
they asked for a little bit of change to go get that, and I was like, hell yes,
absolutely.
I threw some money, and they're gonna scan that, get that available for everybody to peruse. Jan, I expect you to see you whipping some yo-yo
tricks. We are
tricks.
all going to learn the Gex 3 yo-yo tricks, everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
Everyone at Giant Bomb, I will buy us all yo-yos if I have to. Absolutely.
I put in the money, and I said, please attribute this to the Chuck Zimmerheld Gex for the Children Fund. So I don't know if that'll show up anywhere, but that would be funny.
Chuck, tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, all that good stuff.
I live here on giantbomb.com. Y'all, I am working on some shit. Okay. Jan's seen it, Grubb's seen it. I'm excited. I have a few people testing it. It will be the biggest structural change to this website since probably the early 2010s. Well, aside from relaunching the whole fucking thing, of course. But,
right.
It's a big deal, like new feature stuff. So very exciting. It's just a lot of work. It's like I posted, it's like UI, UX hell, because I don't want to stomp over stuff that people love about Giant Bomb. I want to like make sure things mesh together really well and it feels good. But I'm gonna sit on it for a while, improve it, keep working on it. But in addition to that, you can find me on Twitch at Chuck Towski. I play old video games on Mondays and Wednesdays, Monday and Wednesday night, because I'm trying to work through that stupid giant list I made. giantbomb.com/OGU. I'm gonna play them all. Even if it takes me 10 years, Grubb, I'm going to do it all.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, just commit to it. Like, we're all going to die eventually. If you die before it happens, who cares? Keep going for it, Chuck. That rules.
Absolutely.
I'm going to make you play some more old games this Friday, everybody. If you are a premium member, after UPF on Friday, we are going to be doing a special premium event. It's a live stream. I'm trying to figure out how to it's Giant Bomb Video. We're going to do a rental weekend. We're going to go rent some old N64 games that maybe never existed, and we're going to hang out with some fun candy and play them online together. Yep.
Is that why you asked for Jan and I's addresses?
Yes, you guys are going to be getting some stuff in the mail.
Oh no! Oh,
yeah,
God.
Mike too. It's,
We didn't question it. We just gave you our addresses. We were just like, yeah, here you go.
The right move here at Giant Bomb, 100%.
It's a yes and website.
Yes, I also sent an Ouya to Nikki Grayson as well. They asked for that probably a year ago, and I forgot. And then I saw it, and I was like, I'm going to the post office. So everyone got something fun. So we're going to be playing some cool old N64, basically ROM hacks, and we're going to be hanging out and having some fun, and just it'll have a 90s vibe or whatever. Don't miss it. It's going to be a cool time. I'm going to make you download an N64 emulator with rollback netcode. That's a thing that exists now that we can all
bad at fighting games. Don't make me play fighting games.
It's no. Well, there's one fighting game. All right.
Killer Instinct.
It's Smash. It's Smash Brothers 2.
Okay, fine.
All right. Let's see. With all that out of the way, new poll question: do you want Game Freak to change the Pokemon mainline combat system or battle system? Yes or no? Let's kind of see what people are feeling about this. I'm curious because to me, I'd be like, most people say no, but I'm wondering. I don't know. We'll get the results. Talk about it on Wednesday's show here on Giant Bomb. Speaking of Giant Bomb, it's the Bombcast tomorrow. We got that's after. That's right. We got to say this. That's moving. It's gonna be a little bit later in the day, because we're going to be talking over Opening Night Live. So Opening Night Live will be happening during the normal Bombcast time. We'll talk over that, and then we'll take a very small break, and then we'll start up the Bombcast and talk about that, Opening Night Live announcements and all that on the show. And then, normal week outside of that, except for Dan is not here, so we'll do a D-Light Club instead of a Blight Club, everybody.
And Will's not here. He and Dan are both in Germany for Gamescom. Guten Tag, mein Freund, friends.
Cigaretten. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let's get out of here. Chuck, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
I have a great time. Yeah, me too. I like watching the ticker back there. I'm like, I don't see what's on the bomb.
I was trying to get my Mister on this screen too, but I forgot. I have too many outlets.
I always want to do the same thing. Thanks for watching and listening, everybody. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself. And goodbye.